ChatGPT said. The stars burn cold in the Hilarian sky, each a silent witness to the unraveling of an empire that had never prepared for war. High Chancellor Villanti stood motionless inside the crystal-paneled observatory of the Coalition spire, her long fingers folded beneath her chin. Beyond the glass, defense satellites orbited in shattered rings, drifting debris glowing dimly against the void. What remained of the Elander fleet had returned in pieces, both figuratively and literally. Some cruisers came home on backup thrusters. Others sent final telemetry seconds before being enveloped in a blinding static of Scourge plasma fire. "Another world has fallen," said Minister KYX. His voice was raw, trembled like a signal stretched across too many systems. "Thraxis. Population, 8 million. No survivors." Villanti didn't flinch. She had stopped mourning individual planets weeks ago. Instead, her gaze locked onto the pulsing crimson sector of the Galactic map. Sector 9, once vibrant with trade and research, now just a bleeding wound on the frontier. "We've exhausted the Andari," KYX continued. "The Vixari shields held for 2 hours at best. The TLO mechanized swarms were wiped out in 6 minutes. We have no one else to call." A long silence stretched between them. Ministers and delegates whispered behind layered comms in the council chambers below, some calling for surrender, others for isolation. But all knew the truth. The Scourge didn't negotiate. They consumed. They learned. They adapted. And they were coming. Villanti finally turned, her robe shimmering like nebulae caught in a stasis field. "There is one last world." KYX's second eyelid blinked. No, he already knew what she meant. "Earth. That planet is a myth." "No," she said, stepping toward the star chart. With a subtle motion, she expanded a forgotten region of space, revealing a rust-colored tuck between gravitational anomalies. Classified centuries ago. Death world. Forbidden. Unstable climate. Apex predators. Highly aggressive sentience. Initial contact abandoned after catastrophic casualties. KYX's eyes narrowed. "We sealed them away for a reason. And now we unseal them," Villanti said. The signal was sent an hour later, encoded, routed through 6 dead relay stations, bouncing past the broken spine of the Elander front. The message was simple. Assistance requested. Enemy unstoppable. Immediate aid required. Then they waited. Days passed. No reply. The Coalition braced for the Scourge's next leap across star systems, their momentum unchecked. Hope became a luxury, until Earth answered. The reply arrived as a burst of compressed data, unlike any protocol used in the galaxy. It took Coalition archivists 4 hours to decipher the payload, and 2 more to verify the origin. Earth. Sol System. Active military command network. The response was brief. Understood. Mobilizing. When Villanti played the transmission in her private chamber, she expected hesitation, maybe posturing. But the human voice on the file wasn't theatrical. It was cold, measured, confident. "We've seen worse," it said. 3 days later, the human fleet arrived. They didn't emerge from warp lanes or the traditional FTL routes. They punched through, ripping holes into space like sabers through silk. Coalition scanners recorded irregular energy signatures, nuclear-tipped kinetic missiles, coil guns the size of buildings, and engines designed for raw power over elegance. Their ships looked scarred, practical, built not for style, but for survival. But it wasn't the vessels that silenced the council chamber. It was the humans themselves. General Adrian Reyes stepped off the command ship Saber 1, flanked by soldiers in jet-black armor. His eyes were pale and calculating, a storm simmering behind flesh. He walked like someone who had survived the end of the world more than once, and had stopped being impressed by the fact. Minister KYX tried diplomacy. "We appreciate your arrival, General. However, we'd like to discuss Coalition protocols, so that—" "No time for protocols," Reyes interrupted. His voice was gravel over iron. "You call for backup. Now get out of the way." The Coalition was stunned, not by rudeness, but by precision. The humans had already intercepted Scourge fleet patterns. They had analyzed orbital positions, calculated soft targets, and began deploying assets within the hour. No orbital bombardment? VLNT asked, watching humans plant atmospheric sensors instead of launching missiles. Reyes shook his head. We're not here to win space. We're here to break their will. That night, in orbit over Thraxus's burned twin, the humans vanished. No transmission. No logs. Then, 48 hours later, the Scourge screamed. Sensor feeds captured irregular pulses. Scourge ships spiraling erratically, systems blinking out, plasma turrets melting from inside. Then came visual footage. Human drop teams moving through ash-choked forests, silent and lethal, wearing adaptive camo that blurred like ghosts. They didn't fight like the Coalition. They fought like the Scourge had never faced. Up close, brutal, unpredictable. And they didn't retreat. One unit's audio feed, damaged but intact, captured a squad leader mid-combat. Keep pressure left. Burn everything that twitches. No prisoners. No pauses. The Scourge faltered. For the first time in the war, the enemy broke formation and ran. VLNT watched it all unfold from her command station, her 3 hearts beating in sync for the first time in weeks. Not with fear, but with awe. She turned to KYX, whose face had gone pale. They are not like us, he whispered. No, she agreed. They are what we fear we might have to become. And yet, somewhere deep in her mind, buried beneath protocol, diplomacy, and 1,000 years of peace, she felt a dangerous flicker. Hope, ChatGPT said. The Saber one cut to the vacuum like a blade too old for ceremony, matte black, patchwork armored, and radiating menace. It bore no insignia, no flourish. Just scars, each one a campaign, each den a buried memory. Inside its command deck, General Adrian Reyes stood with arms crossed behind his back, eyes fixed on a rotating tactical hologram. His face was weathered not by age, but by entropy and war. He didn't blink much. He didn't need to. Around him, a dozen specialists whispered code, deployed drones, ran simulations. No one raised their voice. No one dared. Across the room, Captain Nia Zhang tapped through a cascade of sensor reports. She was younger, sharper in profile, with cybernetic implants ringing her temples like a tactical crown. Her tone was cool, clipped. Coalition calls this quadrant irrecoverable. They've written it off as a dead zone. Then they should stop watching, Reyes muttered. Behind them, Lieutenant Kazvorinov leaned against a viewport, chewing on a stem gum with the indifference of someone who'd survived planetary extinction. He was a brute, thick-necked buzzcut, and with hands that looked like they belonged around a rifle or someone's throat. Zhang spoke without looking up. Enemy force clusters remain erratic. No formation. Movement suggests desperation or confusion. Confusion means they're still learning us, Reyes said. Let's make sure they don't graduate. A chime echoed through the deck. Incoming hail from the Coalition vessel Harmony's reach. Reyes nodded once. The comm link snapped open. VLNT's image shimmered into view, as poised as ever, her voice equal parts ice and silk. General Reyes, Coalition Protocol requests a strategic update regarding your deployment on Etherian 5. There are concerns about the... Your protocol's irrelevant, Reyes interrupted, calm as death. Our objective is annihilation, not containment, not negotiation. You want results. We deliver them. VLNT's expression didn't change, but a micro-twitch in her jaw betrayed discomfort. You must understand your methods are difficult to reconcile. Zhang chimed in uninvited. You invited Deathworlders. This is what you paid for. Kez grinned, not kindly. The calm cut. Silence returned, heavy as a verdict. You shouldn't antagonize them so directly, Zhang said, returning to her display. They fear us more than the Scourge now, Reyes replied. That buys us time. Time buys us lives. He turned and walked past them toward the armory without another word. The ship's AI dimmed the lights behind him as he passed, as if sensing something primal. Or irreverent. Hours later, the drop began. Human shuttles didn't float. They fell, thundering through atmospheres like divine punishment, their hulls shearing clouds apart. on the scorched surface of Etherian 5, where no coalition foot had tread in weeks, the first squads hit the ground with zero ceremony. Reyes led from the front, clad in battleplate, so dense it left micro cracks in the rock where he landed. Zhang followed, scanning terrain, already recalibrating the local drones. Kez came last, lugging a flamethrower and humming a nursery rhyme off-key. The planet was red ash and black ruins. Old mining rigs turned to bone piles, sky stained orange from residual atmospheric burns. But it wasn't empty. From the fractured ground, the Scourge emerged. They weren't elegant. They weren't even intelligent in the traditional sense. But they moved, like shadows wrapped in barbed sinew, adapting mid-charge, reshaping their limbs to whatever weapon suited the moment. Teeth, blades, acid. Most coalition forces had panicked. The humans did not. Kez surged forward, fire blooming from his weapon, setting the first wave of light in brilliant arcs of orange and green. Reyes barked coordinates, short, brutal commands. Left flank collapse. Target the stalkers. Zhang box him in. Zhang's drone zipped overhead, deploying micro-turrets and heat beacons, forcing the Scourge into tight kill lanes. Reyes tore through two with an antimatter bayonet, blood sizzling against his armor. The aliens adapted quickly, but not fast enough. For every human lost, 10 Scourge fell, some in flame, others by railgun bursts that split them open mid-leap. But it wasn't just the violence that unsettled the watching coalition observers. It was the precision, the efficiency. Humans fought not like beasts, but like surgeons of war, trained and hardened by centuries of surviving their own brutal planet. No hesitation, no mercy. Above them, VLNT watched the live feed in silence. Her council argued behind her, voices raised. This is barbarism. It's effective. They are unstable. We invited madness to fight monsters. She turned to them. Finally, they are not mad, she said. They are what we would be if we had never known peace. Back on Etherian 5, the last Scourge commander, a spike leviathan that shimmered between dimensions, charged a human front line. It roared something primal, a sound that rippled through bones. Kez didn't flinch. He activated his pack, surged forward, and tackled it into the burning wreckage of a mining platform. Silence fell again, the kind that only follows absolute dominance. Reyes looked over the field. Area secure. Prep for next engagement. Coalition command requesting a full report, Zhang noted. Tell them what they need to hear, Reyes said, his tone colder now. Tell them humanity is done waiting on the sidelines. And for the first time in this war, the Scourge withdrew, not because they were defeated, but because they'd learned fear.